Hello, everybody. My name is the Saubrey Boyz Walefatshe from TBR Solution Sports Program. You know by now that this is a special program. Special program is being done just to tackle on issues that are a little bit thorny, a quick one. So, as I said when we were doing the show, I think during the course of the week, I did indicate we were talking about this issue of Kaizer Chiefs and PSL. Very interesting. And then, but I said I'll call an advocate to talk from a legal perspective, to explain to us, the process. All right. So I'm gonna give him that opportunity to explain what's happening, where we are. But prior to that, the breaking news: Amazulu have terminated their contract with Benny McCarthy. Well, I don't know whether you agree or disagree. I don't know. This is a coaching job, very tough one. If you don't produce results, you're out. Now, I want to leave it to you. You'll decide whether it's a good idea by the president of Amazulu, Sandile Zungu, or it's a wrong idea, or it will prove itself going forward. That's it. I'm just sharing that. I nearly said shakes because I normally do shakes. Yeah. Advocate Mahantola. We normally discuss these things with you, the issue around the legality. You know the case that I'm talking about. And then I think this case is similar. You'll tell me whether I'm wrong or right, to that one of Sikukune and Real AM, because it has COVID all in it. That is why I'm saying similar, but probably the characters will never be the same. I don't cut any aspersions. I want you to give us the legal perspective of this particular case. If you can just give the viewers what the case is all about, what is happening. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chabalala, and thank you to the viewers for taking their time to listen to us. Look, I have not had sight of the real decisions that have been made. So the information that we gather it through media. And as I'm currently addressing yourself and the viewers, I must just indicate up front to say, I have not read the decisions of, for example, Senior Counsel Nazim Kasim. I have also not seen the decision of the PSL, as well as the executive committee in relation to the matter of Kaizer Chiefs. But I think it's important that I need to highlight these facts, which are facts that cannot be disputed, which are prevalent in this matter. Somewhere around the 2nd of December 2021, Kaizer Chiefs wrote to the NSL requesting for a postponement of 5 matches. And subsequent to writing to the PSL or NSL, they immediately received a response from Mr. Selvin van Wyk. We can call that the Selvin van Wyk decision. That decision was communicated immediately on the 2nd of December, denying Kaizer Chiefs the postponement that they were requesting for. And the basis of denying that particular postponement.
Advocate, before you go any further, did Kaizer Chiefs furnish the reasons why they chose 5 games to be postponed? Why 5? Why not 3? Why not 10? Why not 2? Why not 1?
Yes. Look, and that is an issue of contention, but here are the facts. At that time, when they were requesting for a postponement from the NSL or PSL, the reasons that they stated is that they had 31 of their staff members having tested positive for COVID-19. It was, according to the information that I could gather, it was 17 players, 9 technical staff members, as well as 5 admin. So in total, they had 31 employees and players collectively having contracted the COVID-19 virus. And you will recall at that point in time that, and even now, we're still operating under the disaster management regulations. And for example, if people were to test positive at that time, the requirements were that they had to isolate or quarantine for a period of about 10 days. And then over and above that, for the players, they had to have what they call a safe graduated return to play of about 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
So all in all, the players had to wait a period of about 17 days before they could resume with play for safety reasons, you know. So I would imagine that that could have been the reason that was advanced by Kaizer Chiefs at that point in time to the PSL to request for a postponement of those 5 games. Now, here is the trick, and this is very important. Prior to that request by Kaizer Chiefs, sometime on the, I think it was on the 12th of December, 2020, Ms. Mahantola issued a circular. That circular is known as Circular 12 of 2020. In terms of that circular, and this is relevant to the discussion that you and I are having this morning. In terms of Circular 12 of 2020 that was issued by Ms. Mahantola, COVID-19 positive results were not regarded as exceptional circumstances justifying a postponement of a match. That is in terms of that particular circular. So it was written in black and white in that circular to say, in the event that teams face a situation where they encounter COVID-19 positive results, that in terms of the circular would not be regarded as exceptional circumstances justifying the postponement of a match. And then later on the 4th of August,
now,
2021.
Before you go any further, this is a circular. And then Kaizer Chiefs was basing its case on the National Disaster Regulation. My understanding is the regulation supersedes the circular. But I'm sure when the arbitrator said all those facts were looked into. But I can see that you are not agreeing. So probably, because I'm asking, I want some clarity so that people can be clear.
Look, I think that is what could have persuaded Nazir Kasim Senior Counsel's decision to make a decision in favor of Kaizer Chiefs. So the fact that the disaster management regulations supersede the circular, in my view, I think it's one of the factors that Kasim Senior Counsel could have considered, and hence the decision that he made. But I wanted to say, as a follow-up to that particular Circular 12 of 2020, on the 4th of August, Mr. Michael Murphy issued Circular 11 of 2021. And that circular was in effect directives which confirmed that the provisions of Circular 12 of 2020 will prevail in the 2021-2022 season. So in a way, it was an extension of Circular 12 of 2020. Now, one of the reasons that the PSL,
if you can look at the camera, yeah, if you can.
Yes, yeah, I'm saying one of the reasons that the PSL might have used to reject the request for postponement from Kaizer Chiefs was that Kaizer Chiefs did not comply with regulation, Rule 69 of the football manual. I looked into that rule, and the rule specifies clearly that Kaizer Chiefs, amongst the reasons that they had to advance, was the fact that they could not present players or a team to play football. And accordingly, it is PSL's view that failure to advance that particular specific reason resulted in the PSL taking that decision. But there were two processes that were engaged upon at the PSL level. The first process was the response that was prepared by Selvin van Wyk on the 2nd of December, rejecting the request for a postponement. But this was also escalated to the EXCO of PSL. And the EXCO of PSL then decided that they will hold some form of an inquiry with Kaizer Chiefs to request Kaizer Chiefs to present the reasons why their games should be postponed. And according to EXCO, Kaizer Chiefs could not present sufficient reasons for it to reverse the decision of Selvin van Wyk. Hence, we find ourselves now with an arbitration that was conducted by Kasim, senior counsel. So basically, in that arbitration, the arbitrator had to relook at the decision that was made by both Selvin van Wyk as well as EXCO. And he decided that Circular 12, for example, was unreasonable. And that's where your question comes to say, did he consider whether the disaster management regulations supersede the circular? And my guess is that he did. Now, the questions that I would like to leave for the viewers, I would like the viewers to decide on their own whether or not COVID-19 positive results in a team like Kaizer Chiefs, which had about 31 positive results, should not be regarded as exceptional circumstances to justify a postponement. And I can tell you that the parties from opposite sides differ. You might have heard Mr. Committees.
Yeah.
Is holding a different view.
Yeah. And
you might also
to reach him via his media people. I could not succeed. I want to hear his point of view. Probably they think the matter is sub judice, but at least they could have communicated that with me.
Indeed, and that's why it is very important that when we share our views, we should not, appear as though we are preempting what might happen in the next processes, because the arbitration award as it is likely to attract, a review process of the High Court, and possibly even maybe an appeal, within the High Court or the Supreme Court of Appeal and a Constitutional Court, Yeah. So the parties.
While you're still there, just to add on what you said, we have heard from the grapevine, the media reports, that the PSL is contemplating on reviewing the decision of the the arbitrator. And now,
Well, yeah.
What comes to question is, are the PSL taking their matters to court now?
You see,
I'm saying in passing, understanding very well that that is their right. But remember, they are the people who are preaching that don't take football matters to court. I'm just asking, then for the sake of clarity for the viewers.
Yeah, you see, it depends on whether or not the hierarchy within football allows matters to be escalated within. For example, this matter was dealt with twice by the PSL. And obviously, once the PSL has made a decision, they are regarded as functas officio. They have made that decision, they can't reverse the decision. And hence, that attracted the arbitration proceedings. And once arbitration is done and it's finalized and a decision is made, that decision is final and binding between the parties. Now, the question is, and which is relevant to the question we're asking, what then? What do you do if you are confronted with an award that is not favorable to you and you would want to take it forward? Now, if you look at the structures within football, you would have your PSL, you would have your SAFA, but above SAFA, you then have continental federations like your CAF, and then you would also have FIFA. Now, the question is, do the rules of CAF allow decisions that have been taken, for example, from SAFA's perspective, to be a second guessed? And I would think that perhaps maybe CAF does not have jurisdiction to deal with such matters. But because an arbitration process is done by a quasi-judiciary body, the next stage obviously would be to approach the High Court to seek to review that particular decision.
Check your internet.
So I think
check your internet connection is a little bit unstable.
Okay.
I'm sure my viewers could not pick up that one. And then the other
can you hear me?
I can hear you now. The other thing that's important, not to say I'm undermining my viewers, these are legal terminology that we are mentioning. You probably can even a bit of explanation. And under no circumstances, I'm saying our viewers don't understand this terminology. Some of them they do, but this is more educational. That's my view.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Indeed, so, yes. You see, forums like the PSL and the arbitration process. You can't go back on the decision that you have made. That explains this concept of functas officio. Once a decision, for example, the arbitration proceedings themselves cannot review their own decision. That decision has to be escalated to another higher body that would have jurisdiction over that particular semi-judiciary process, that is what is meant by functas officio. But to answer your question, and I heard that you said that the viewers might not have heard what I was saying.
Yeah. This is internet.
I was saying.
No, I'm sure he doesn't want you to say.
Perhaps the
cuts again. It cuts
PSL and SAFA. It doesn't want me to say.
Yeah, I
look.
I don't know what's wrong with. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Is that you cut a little bit?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, say it again.
Yes, I'm saying the decision to take the award of Kasim Senior Counsel on review is a decision that I think that perhaps maybe SAFA and the PSL had no choice but to do that. In the sense that it would not be possible for CAF to have jurisdiction to deal with matters pertaining to federations in different African countries. So hence the SAFA and the PSL decided that the most appropriate forum that they could approach would be the High Court in an attempt to review that particular decision. But that's where we are with this matter. I think the questions that the viewers have to ask themselves and to answer for themselves is whether Circular 12 of 2020 that was issued by Madlala together with Circular 4 of Circular 11 of 2021, whether those circulars were rational, were reasonable in the circumstances where the country at that point in time was facing Omicron, and whether or not it was reasonable to expect Kaizer Chiefs to honor those fixtures, having 31 of their staff members, testing positive for COVID-19, So those are questions that will be answered by the court. If it happens that the SAFA and the PSL take this particular arbitration award on review.
Now, before we go, okay.
The other question is in terms of Rule 9.4. Rule 9.4 specifies that games can be postponed if exceptional circumstances exist. Now the question is, did Kaizer Chiefs comply with Rule 9.4? Did they demonstrate that there were exceptional circumstances for that particular game to be postponed, or those games to be postponed? Now, the other thing that I think might have counted in Kaizer Chiefs is the fact that for postponement of 5 games, they still went and honored 3 other games, starting from the 12th of December. So the only games that were outstanding, which they could not play, was the Cape Town City game that was scheduled for December the 4th, as well as Golden Arrows that was scheduled for December the 8th. So despite these challenges that they faced, they still went ahead, they honored those games, and it's only these 2 games that were a bone of contention. Look, Kaizer Chiefs did not approach the arbitration as well as the PSL with clean hands. There were certain things that they did not do correctly, but they were forgiven, considering the circumstances that they found themselves in at that point in time, and that's it. Yeah, that's the situation from the legal perspective. But one other thing that I need to emphasize is that, parties like Cape Town City, Golden Arrows, PSL, they're entitled to institute any proceedings, against Kaizer Chiefs if they are not happy with the decision that has been made by Kasim Senior Counsel, Like we have already indicated that there was an indication from the perspective of the PSL to take this matter on review. I think let's just watch the space and see what transpires moving forward. But in a nutshell, those are the issues that I think will have to be escalated before court to say whether or not COVID-19 cases, especially in the magnitude that it happened within the Kaizer Chiefs perspective, whether such constitute exceptional circumstances, and whether PSL, by denying Kaizer Chiefs postponement, whether they acted rationally and reasonably in the circumstances.
Now, can I ask you this?
I think that's about it in terms of, yeah.
Some people might say there was a Royal AM and Skukulu. Any similarities to the 2 cases, legally speaking?
No, remember, yeah, I think the similarity that can be drawn there is the fact that COVID-19 was central, to decisions that were taken at that point in time. You will recall that there were points deducted against Royal AM for failing to honor a particular fixture. And the reasoning that they advanced at that point in time was that they were also victims of this COVID-19 pandemic. So in that regard, there are similarities. But I want to throw the cat amongst the pigeons to say, if you recall the Ellis Park saga, I think it was in April 2006 or 2007, if I'm not mistaken, that disaster where there was a stampede. Yeah. You will recall that match was never postponed, And my view is that it should have been postponed because that stampede presented exceptional circumstances that warranted that game be postponed. People died. It was a matter of life and death, Those are circumstances that you would consider to be exceptional. But whether or not COVID-19 should be, classified in that category of exceptional circumstances is a question for the viewers to answer, and also maybe for the courts in the event that this matter has been taken on review to consider.
All right. Okay, you have already answered that. Sorry about that. That Cape Town City, PSL, Golden Arrows, they have all the rights to exercise whatever they exercise.
Indeed.
Mr. John Communities, I think the indication was he was not going to take it any further. Instead, if I listened very well, he was puzzled that under which circumstances, what is 3 points? No difference will it make. I can give out the 3 points. Will I be charged? Let's say he decides, take the 3 points. Legally speaking, can he be charged?
If he decides to, sorry, I did not get the question, Mr. Chabalala.
He said, what is the issue? 3 points, I can give it them away if need be. I'll still qualify for top 8. It will never make any difference. And the question was, should I give away those 3 points? Will I be charged? Meaning, Mr. John Committees, I may not quote him verbatim, but that was the implication and the insinuation.
Yeah, look, I think Mr. Committees, oh, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think that Mr. Committees has a choice, because if the arbitration awards were to be implemented or were to be complied with, the 3 points will obviously be taken away and they should be contested on the field of play. So it's not a matter that is within his control. He can't, for example, say, I'm refusing to give the 3 points or I'm giving the 3 points. It's not a decision for him to make. It's a matter of compliance with the arbitration award that has been made by Nazim Kasim Senior Counsel.
So does this mean if, let's say, it goes to court, all the processes, and it's upheld, and then they say, Cape Town City, replay the game. So they don't have a choice, they must comply. That's what you're saying.
Comply with the arbitration award.
Yeah. No, I'm saying.
Secondly, firstly, remember the legal status of an arbitration award is that it is legally binding to the parties to that particular dispute. So the issue of compliance, it's non-negotiable. So it's not a matter that Mr. Committees has choice over. That arbitration award has to be implemented unless that arbitration award is taken on review, and unless any party that chooses to take that arbitration award on review requests the court to stay the execution of the arbitration award. Then the court will make that order to stay that particular implementation, and perhaps also make an order one way or the other.
Advocate Mahantola, thank you very much for clarifying this matter. And thank you for your time. You have just indicated to us that you are preparing to go to court. So let us not take too much of your time. We really appreciate. We just want to educate our viewers out there. That's our work as the media. Give information, let people make their own decision. Thank you for your time once again.
Thank you, Mr. Chabalala, and thank you to the viewers. I hope that they will enjoy this show and perhaps maybe gather some learnings from some of the issues that we mentioned this morning. Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is the Saubrey Boyz Walefatshe from the Big R, or TBR Solution. One of the companies owned by TBR Solution is the Big R Financial Services, an authorized financial service provider. I'm sure you have noticed that the past few months or so, we've seen a lot of deaths, and those deaths are attributed to mental illness. Mental illness can be caused by anything, can be caused by stress, depression, and stress and depression can be caused by a number of things: lack of finances, or financial problem, or social problem, or marital problem. So they cause all those problems. We in the financial sector, we see it almost now and again, because we work with various organizations like GPF, Independent Fund Organization. But while I'm still there, let me stress, we don't have a formal relationship with GPF, but we work with them because most of our people are from there. Now, working with those people, you know very well that people who are working for the government, they're expected to retire at the age of 60 and above, right? If you retire earlier than that, then you are being penalized by GPF. And sometimes people say, no, I need money. So what do? They resign. They say, no, let the money go to my bank account. Once you do that, you are tax heavy. So you need to bear that in mind, okay? But now, let's say for argument's sake, you are 55 as we speak and above, and you are contemplating of either resigning or going on pension in the next 3 months or so. Just drop us a WhatsApp so that we help you to expedite for your payment. Because according to the GPF rules and pension fund law, once a client or a member receive an SMS that they've received your forms, that means they have 60 days to complete the process. And mind you, the 60 days is a maximum. It doesn't mean it has to take 60 days. It's a maximum. Now, sometimes we see people, they don't get their money for 2 to 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months, even more, or a year or so. And then there, the problem could emanate either from the GPF side, employer side, a member himself. So what do? We try to expedite that process by making sure that we understand the workings of GPF. If it's a member, we help him to do the right thing. The same with GPF, the same with employer organization. Now, remember, as I have already said, that with GPF, it's 60 and above. Now, and then we say if you're 55 or more, you can contact us. And another good element is this: with the fund that we are working with, there is a whole lot of flexibility. You can decide how much you earn. That's how flexible it is. And if, let's say, you pass on, you and your spouse, you can nominate anyone. You are not limited to your immediate family, like your biological children or an officially adopted children. Remember, even your children, they can benefit as long as they're 22 and below. But with us, it doesn't matter. They can be above 22, they can be your elders, or they will still benefit because you nominated them. And then we try by all means that when we take the money from GPF and invest with credible fund organization, we try by all means that you are least taxed, all right? And then, and even you are not punished because you are not taking the money, because you are taking to another fund. So which means an independent and credible fund. So it means that there's no need to tax you more. So those are some of the advantages that are there. So you need to bear that in mind. And then if you want to know more, just drop us a WhatsApp on our WhatsApp number. Then we'll call you back. You don't have to call us. We'll call you back and see how can we expedite it. I thank you.